council meetings when I was growing up was that we did start the flag with the pledge. And so this time I'd ask that we all rise and give the pledge.
Allegiance flag of the United States of America, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next is another pledge that is something that we are taking from the League of Cities. It's something that Camden said that they do during their meetings. And I felt it was also a good add to the meeting that we're going to have. And so that's the civility pledge. And during these meetings, we pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, and acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve public life. So as we have conversations, I feel like we do a good job of that, but a refresher on those. I guess I jumped the gun on roll call. So all right, next, perfecting and approving the agenda. Any changes?
No changes.
We have a motion to perfect and approve the agenda.
I'll move to perfect and approve the agenda.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Next is citizen speak. It's a time during the meeting where those would like to speak on anything that is not on the agenda. We'll have a few minutes to speak on items that they have concerns with. Colin, you want to talk about your concerns around the during this time?
Sure.
And if you just want to introduce yourself to others.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Am I coming up here? Is this where? Oh, okay. Good evening. My name is Colin Sawyer. I'm a relatively new resident here in Solon. I work at the University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics as a fire safety inspector. And as I'm sure you're all aware, Solon is a growing community, a trend that will surely continue with the construction of the new hospital that's going up in North Liberty. And with growth, especially growth surrounding healthcare, there will be an increasing number of people living in our community who work on second and third shifts, nurses, housekeepers, maintenance staff, things like people of that nature, right? These are folks who are sleeping or are attempting to fall asleep during the times that the city uses its emergency siren as a way to mark the time at noon and 5 p.m. While the annoyance and the disturbance of these sirens is my main concern, it just so happens that the use of these sirens to mark the time is also in direct contradiction to the Iowa Emergency Management Association's outdoor warning sirens best practices publication. That was a mouthful. I confirmed this with the Johnson County Emergency Management Coordinator, Dave Wilson, on a phone call with him today. I have brought a copy of the publication with me tonight, and I've highlighted a few sections that are directly relevant to this issue, although I will suggest that the council review this document in its entirety. On page 6, outlining the principles of use of emergency sirens, the document states, and I quote, "The sole purpose of outdoor warning sirens is for the protection of life. Sirens should be used to warn of immediate threats to life and limb. They should not be used for any non-life safety purpose, such as time of day notification, a noon siren, or curfew siren, for instance. In order to reduce public confusion, outdoor warning sirens should be sounded for public warning purposes only," end quote. On page 4, the document outlines the underlying problems which prompted the guidelines to be reviewed and issued to begin with. The document states, and I quote, "Studies show that the overuse of sirens leads people to ignore them. Overuse includes testing them too often. It also includes using outdoor sirens for non-warning reasons, such as lunch sirens, dinner sirens, curfew sirens, and fire hall sirens. People have difficulty sorting out all the different sirens they hear and tune them out from frustration," end quote. In short, sounding the sirens off at noon and 5 p.m. is not only annoying and disruptive, but is also creating a liability and public safety risk by diluting the effectiveness of the emergency sirens, as well as being potentially confusing if an emergency were to actually occur at or around these times. For these reasons, I am requesting that the City Council place reviewing the IMEA emergency siren guidelines on its agenda in the immediate future, and to hold a vote to adopt all of the stated best practices for all of the emergency sirens owned and operated by the city. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in and speaking on that. As far as action for future agenda, is that something we should take now and have a discussion?
If you just want to place on the future agenda, we can do that. So it's not an agenda item for tonight, so you can't really act on it, but you place on the
Right.
future agenda.
I would certainly encourage you to bring anybody else in the community that feels this way with you to speak to the committee, the council on this issue.
Anyone else in this room like the sirens at 5 and noon? They like them?
We like them. It's been part of the community for a long time.
Anyone dislike
I'm
them?
sure you researched the city before you moved here. I just talked to somebody from Mount Vernon right before I came up here. Their whistles go off at noon and 5. Small towns across Iowa, they
Yes,
go off all the time.
sure.
As far as being confusing
Do you have any comments on
on
the
regulation.
IMEA's regulations?
This is for.
Gentlemen, we can discuss this at a
Okay.
future. We don't need to go into this right now. I know that. there's-
Well, I was just wondering if anyone else in the room wanted to speak on this behalf on either side of the issue. Does anyone not like the sirens?
I'm definitely happy to see this on the agenda in the future. I certainly believe in turning off the sirens. I think it's the right thing to do. I've been in the minority on that position, I will say. So not just on the council, in the community.
Okay,
and-
okay,
Paul, if that is a future item, we can make sure
Yeah.
to reach out to you when that would be on there as well.
sure.
Other citizens speak anything that's not.
You don't want me to speak about this issue?
Not right now. We'll have it on we can have it on a future agenda. Oh, did you sign it? Oh, yes, sorry. I thought you wanted to talk about the siren.
It is about sirens.
Oh,
I
okay.
do, and what I want to say to you is it's a suggestion of the people writing that manual.
Yes.
And I want to say that it's not confusing for anyone because the time sirens last for exactly 13 seconds. I believe warning signs usually react for maybe 3 minutes. So no one is confused by the time.
Well, I would disagree with that. I was confused right when I moved here.
But you have learned, right? You have learned.
Yeah.
You're
You're new-
gonna
you're new to
tell us
community.
yours,
This
so
is
you
ours.
have learned.
Well, as far as with the sirens, further discussion and everything, we will have it as an agenda item in the upcoming meeting. We will definitely have more dialogue during that time. And so there will be no action tonight as we will review this and we will bring it forward on a future agenda. Any other citizens speak? All right, with that, we'll move on to consent agenda. This is the approval of the minutes from the December 20th, 2023 regular meeting. Approval of the list of bills, treasurer's reports and transfers, building permits. I don't believe we had any, and then if you're looking like just approval for also.
Are there any concerns with the?
No, it's.
I don't know.
We'll move to approve the consent agenda.
What's that? We'll go Farlinger,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Kramer, Whitehead.
Yes.
All right, next, that moves us down to the fire department report. I don't have anything, from Chief Seidel. We will be having an agency meeting next Thursday, so I'll likely have something, following meetings to bring us up, from there. Sheriff's office report. You heard anything? Scott, public works.
I really don't have a report, the holidays kind of kept us status quo for right now.
Dave Wilson.
Library, Liz.
Yes, we had our New Year's Eve event on Saturday and it was a huge success. Thank you so much to Public Works for helping us with our balloon drop. It would not have been possible without you. So our staff members, Lily and Megan, created our own balloon drop this year. Lily personally inflated 500 balloons and tied them. And they were dropped at noon at the Family Life Center on Saturday. We had 236 people there and it was just amazing. So lots of fun. We're really glad that we moved the location to that rather than having it at the library where we were definitely possibly exceeding capacity. So it was great. We hope to just continue to see this program grow. So that was wonderful. It is still Winter Library Challenge. So until the end of January, you can still earn secret codes and get prizes for coming to activities or checking out from different collections. So I encourage you to come to the library and check that out. Our Fun for All Night, which is our collaboration with the Recreation Department, will be Saturday the 13th. 6 o'clock games in the gym, and then 7 o'clock we'll be watching Elemental and sharing popcorn, which Tyson's of Coralville is so generous to donate to us each month. And does anybody have any questions?
Great work.
Thank
Nice
you.
job, thanks.
Thank you.
Dave, city engineer report.
Yeah, good evening, Dan. Not much going on the last couple of weeks from our end. We do have a meeting tomorrow scheduled with Scott and Dave and Cammie to talk over the wastewater plant. One of the next upcoming council meetings. I'll probably go through for everybody's benefit, kind of a recap of what we've been doing, where we're going with it, an updated schedule and so forth. So time being, we'll just see how things play out tomorrow and give an update at the next council meeting.
Nothing.
So they don't have anything. Next, we'll move down to old business. We have 2 Mile Fringe Area Oak Meadow Subdivision, municipal improvement agreement on that.
Remember last time we talked about the agreement in the final plat here? There was a lot of discussion about water at that time, and we didn't have any information from the developer, the owner of the property. After that meeting, I met with Matt Adam in person, and he submitted the test results, the extensive test results he had to go through with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources. He also made a couple of changes to the municipal improvements agreement that were acceptable to me, so I believe that's ready to be put on. And I'd probably have Dave, obviously, I can't read those things. Dave Scheckinger probably looked at the water tests and show that they did pass those. So Dave, can you talk about those?
Yes, they did take 3 tests, and all 3 tests did show that they were below the current level that is in place for arsenic. So one of them was approaching, the other 2 were well below. So they did provide satisfactory information to demonstrate that they are not currently required to treat for arsenic.
So I guess at that point, I believe, unless Mr. Adam has anything else to say, I think both the plat and the agreement are ready for approval.
Is there anything that you'd like to?
I have nothing to say, but I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have about development or anything that, you have a lot of questions last week. I was here to talk, but I didn't really have a chance. So I could have answered all this stuff now, but I'm glad we got everything what everyone needs to satisfy any concerns.
And you said that siren will be less than just police officer here in Solon.
Any action on review?
So we'll be on the resolution.
We're on the resolution. The improvements agreement first, which is just a regular motion, then the resolution approving the final plat, so we send it to the county. So we need a motion to approve the municipal improvements.
And I
agreement
definitely,
first.
that was what.
I move to approve the 2 Mile Fringe Area Oak Meadow Subdivision municipal and program.
It's like salt.
And then I'll second.
Farlinger?
For the longest
Yeah.
time.
Gabriel?
Will be-
Favor?
it works.
Whitehead?
Hardly anybody.
Yes.
I guess excluded.
Next, resolution 2401, 2 Mile Fringe Area Oak Meadow Subdivision, final plat.
As we said, everything was, as far as I know it, I think Dave reported last time, everything was pretty much.
And it's pretty much already established. I think that's
Last
ready for approval also.
Most people that I
Move to approve resolution 24.
hey, that's a great country thing if you want. Yeah, no. I basically gave.
Farley,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Kramer, Whitehead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next, new business. A presentation on the flag fund program.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you for allowing me to come to your City Council meeting tonight. My name is Jean Steinacher. I came to Solon in 1953. And in the 90s, maybe 1991, 2, 3, Carolyn Trump and I decided that every business in Solon needed to have a flag. So we started a flag fund, went around to businesses and got enough money so that each business could have a flag. And at that time, I think Jim Leach was the representative, and we went through him to get a flag that has flown over the US Capitol. So we got enough of those flags for everybody. Then, well, let's see what happened. Oh, Streetscape came along, and away went our flags. So I don't know what the business did with their flags, but we no longer have flags at every business. However, I think they could probably do that. So we have this account at the Solon State Bank, and it's just kind of been sitting there. And I'm pushing 90, and I don't want my name on that account anymore. So I went and dissolved the account the other day. And it's not much, but I have a check for $189.74. And it's to be used for decorations, maybe Christmas decorations, flower pots, or whatever. But I would like to present you with this check. Who gets the money? Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Next, we have a presentation by the Greater Iowa City Area Corporation on the 2024 campaign.
Brought a whole crew. Is our presentation, you'll pull that up, very good. Mayor, Council, thank you very much for having us. Cammie, thank you for the invitation. My name's Nancy Bird. I'm the new president and CEO of Greater Iowa City, Inc. You know us previously by ICAD, or the Iowa City Area Business Partnership. These two organizations have merged. And so one of the things we want to do tonight is kind of share with you a little bit about the new organization. And we've integrated services and added services. So just to introduce to you what those new services look like, I'm here with our wonderful team. Austin Correns, our Senior Director of Economic Development. Sarah Thompson's our Director of Rural Development. And Tom Johnson, who is our Director of Membership Engagement. So we're thrilled to be here tonight to share. So please, if you have questions, please jump out there and ask. Austin's going to start us off with a little bit about how the organization has changed. But one thing that I wanted to share with you, if you go to the next slide, is kind of one of the principles of the new organization, which essentially is that we've kind of looked at the makeup of both the ICAD investors, which did really traditional economic development throughout the county, and then what the business partnership looked like, which was more your kind of traditional businesses, paying dues and getting certain services for those dues, and what it would look like to integrate those services and then really open up more services for all businesses throughout the county. Well, that works pretty well, but we also work and support public entities as well. So we have investment from those public sectors that want to see us work in collaboration with the business community to really help support kind of a strategic growth objective for the whole county. And we feel like we can do that as a public private type of organization where all of these organizations can kind of come together in one place to understand and get organized around the kind of growth that we want to see here in the county. It looks different everywhere. What's happening in Solon, what's happening in North Liberty, what's happening in Tiffin. It's all these things have really, they're really nuanced, and we recognize that. And our team understands that just by going through all of the different jurisdictions, their comp plans, and understanding the general framework, but then also working with the business community and understanding what their needs are. My background is with the Iowa City Downtown District, and when I first started, it's a nonprofit organization. It had a taxing a revenue source to it, but we really knew that we had to work with both the public sector, with the city of Iowa City, and the business community to make things work. So with those kinds of, with that sentiment, that's what we're trying to do with this organization, is making sure that we're working in partnership. And I really appreciated your opening with, you know, a kind of a nod to civility, because I think that's what a lot of our mandate is how do we best work together? So with that introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Austin to kind of share a little bit about how the organization is functioning.
Thanks, Nancy.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us here. Thank you, Cami, for setting this up. Yeah, so we have merged a traditional interstate commerce economic development organization, a chamber, and also I'll get into this a little bit, a community development organization, all into one organization. How does that work? So the best practices for doing a merger of this that we've seen across the country is the setting up of investment councils. So different investor councils for different businesses and community members that are interested in different activities under one roof. So the first investment council, the lead, you know, our executive council, the top folks at the top making the high level, setting the high level direction for our organization. And then we're going to get into our economic development council, business support innovation council, and our community development council. Before we do that, can you move on to the next slide? So one of the things that we wanted to highlight before we get into kind of the weeds of how we are going to be doing our work is a new concept that is kind of novel to this line of work, where we have created an inclusive membership model. So if you are a business owner in Johnson County, you're a member. We have decided to create a suite of membership benefits that are for everybody, that anybody can get access to. Just kind of some core functions of our organization that we want to make available to everybody. We will have an investment model on top of that, and I brought kind of an overview, a detailed overview of our investment model on top of that. If anybody wants to see it, it's too many little lines to put on a slide, but I can share that as well. And then where does Greater Iowa City work? For the most part, Johnson County. We are across all of Johnson County. We stretch outside of Johnson County in a few unique ways, but for the most part, it is the border of Johnson County on all sides. So if you want to move on to the next slide, we threw this in here just so you can see kind of the depth of our team and the depth of our the knowledge across the board on our team. We have a lot of talented team members. We actually have our newest team member who isn't even included here. So we need to update that slide. And then moving on to the innovation councils. So this is a way for a way that we're going to be putting our businesses in a position to be leading the work, letting them get into the weeds of the things that they need to be involved in. Everything from affordable housing and streets and roads and things like that, all the way to incentives for expanding businesses and employment programs for companies that are having trouble hiring. If you want to move on to the next one, we'll start getting into the weeds of, or maybe just skip the next one and go on. You can keep going since it's getting kind of clunky. There we go. Business Support Innovation Council. So the Business Support Innovation Council is kind of the prototypical suite of services that you see in the typical chamber work. Tom's going to get into a little bit more of the specific things that are offered through the Business Support Innovation Council, but things like our grant programs, our city lunch connections, business PMs, things of that nature are some of the services that we offer coming out of that council, and is available for established businesses, but also people who are in the process of starting a new business and need help. You want to move on to the next one? Economic Development Innovation Council. This is actually the council that I'll be leading. The Economic Development Innovation Council is our council that kind of is incorporating the work that Iowa City Area Development Group was doing before. The interstate commerce, economic development, business retention and expansion for our large interstate commerce businesses, and then business attraction. When we have those business attraction opportunities come to our region, create new jobs, bring new revenue into our county. This is the council that is tackling those overarching issues. And then the next one, I'll get more into detail on the Community Development Innovation Council, but this council is working on things like transit, childcare, housing for across our entire county, and it is a way that we have incorporated Better Together 2030. If you want to move on to the next one, it'll get more into the weeds on this, but we've incorporated Better Together 2030, which is a visioning program or a visioning process that came out of the COVID pandemic. And when we realized that there were so many things we could do better when we were working in collaboration across our entire community, this has been a way for us to bring this under one roof, where our team member Katie Gerlach, who is our executive director of Better Together 2030, can work hand in hand with the rest of our team and have an entire team around her to help drive some of these big, audacious goals forward for our community. And then if you want to move on to the next one, I'm going to hand it off to Sarah to talk a little bit about some of the rural development work that she's been doing.
Thank you for having us. So I'm Sarah Thompson. My position was created in 2022 when the county and ICAD got together to discuss the need for maybe more rural services. I have been here since the last week of July of 2022. So a little over a year and a half, about a year and a half. And I really enjoyed my time meeting all of the rural communities. One of the first things that I did as a new person, not knowing any of the communities, but especially Solon, since we're here, was I brought a team from Des Moines to do a downtown walk around. It helped me see the town through their eyes and then also through your eyes, because we had people from the community walking through and giving us the history of this building and the history of that building. It was really, really interesting. And then if you move on to the next slide, I only have two, so we're going to be short here. But this is kind of a list of things that I'm hoping that I can help you guys with. I really feel like I am here as a kind of intermediary between you guys and the county, you guys and the rest of the team at Greater IC. I'm going to be the one that gets all the information from you. You can come to me if you have questions. Cami obviously knows what she's doing and doesn't need my help as much as some of the other rural communities do. But I do look to you guys as a way to show some of the other communities, like, this is how you can do things. This is what has Solon has accomplished. How do you want to do it? Do you want to do it the same? Do you want to do it different? So you guys are also a resource for me as much as I am a resource for you. Some of the things that I just highlighted on this slide was that I can help write grants. I can have resources, give you information. I send things to Cami every once in a while. There are conferences that maybe you guys don't know about that I can highlight, answer any questions. I have knowledge of placemaking and branding is one of the things that I've worked on in other communities in the past. And so I really appreciate any community like yours that has really taken into account the like historic look of the downtown and kept your buildings beautiful. I hope to be a network for you to other counties or other communities in other counties. Also with ECOG, which is the Council of Governments that Johnson County is in. There are initiatives there that I can help be a facilitator for. And then problem solving, any problem that you have. If Cami can't help you, maybe the two of us together can work on something. I want to be a liaison for you guys. And then I just think that if you invest, then we can work really great together. We have a new person who does advocacy. So we are going to be talking about issues. Farmers have issues, small businesses have issues. How can we help you guys do that? Going back to the downtown walk around we did in March or May, you guys had yours in May. One of the things that they highlighted was that Solon is really ready for more of a chamber presence, more of a let's do more promotions, let's do business get-togethers, downtown things. And just a few months ago, I came to a new wedge meeting, but this is something that Tom Johnson is going to talk about because he is kind of more on the chamber side of things, and we have some new things that we can offer, and so I'm going to let him talk about that.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tom Johnson, the Director of Membership Engagement with Greater IC. And I'm going to just share some of the direct services that cities receive from us currently. So one of the big things that we do is providing a platform for city governments to engage with local business community and citizens over lunch or over coffee. So we have regularly scheduled events, Monday lunches in Coralville, for example. City administrators, city council members like to attend, and it gives them a chance to interact with local business leaders, local employees, and other community members who want that direct access. And with an investment, that's something that we could look into setting up for Solon as well. And a couple other services that I wanted to talk about would be ribbon cuttings. If the City of Solon wanted help in celebrating something, we'd be more than happy to help you with a ribbon cutting celebration. We do about 35 of them a year, so we've gotten pretty efficient at the process. We would bring our ambassadors out. Also included in investment would be the opportunity if you wanted to send someone from the city to join our ambassador program. We also have referral groups that city officials could participate in if they would like to, as well as our community leadership program and ELP. And those are just some of the basic offerings. We could explore kind of on a case-by-case basis how you would want to engage with the rest of our members or where you would like our support further. Thank you.
Yeah, if you advance one more slide, I think you kind of went over those. Okay, so we'll finish on this one. Thank you, everybody. But one of the things that the number one thing that I've heard from jurisdictions where they invest, that they say that this organization could be a big help for, is that when a business comes to you and says, I really need help with my business, sometimes, jurisdictions aren't set up to actually provide direct assistance. So we can be a resource for that. And number two, it's a great way for those organizations, those jurisdictions to say, hey, we're investing in this organization so they can help support you. So that can be grants, individualized grants, which we're working on this year, where a business, if they're struggling, they would be eligible for one of three grants: an IT grant, we hear a lot about that, a marketing grant. So that's the program we're developing this year. All of your businesses would be eligible to those support systems. And other ways that we can support, just like we would any other business in the county, those businesses here in Solon. So that resource base is a big piece of it, I think, for jurisdictions, like why they would invest. In the past, Solon has been an investor in the Iowa City Area Business Partnership. I think it was like a $410 level, and then a $2,500 level for ICAD. So I think this year, kind of our pitch would be that if we could keep, the combined dollar amount, roughly 3,000, moving forward from Solon, that would be a good first step to see if it's something you want to continue in the future. And it's a test year to see how all these things work. But there's several ways for you all to get involved in the organization so you understand what it's doing. The investor piece is certainly one, but there's opportunities for anybody on your staff or in the business community to be an ambassador, or to join an innovation council that Austin went through to understand kind of what are the larger movements of the county, what people are working on. And these councils will have both public sector and private sector entities on them. So information is kind of currency. You know, it's helpful to know what other communities are working on. There's lots of learning there. And then there's also, how do you build your community here and make sure it's moving the right direction, or the direction that you're pushing it forward to. So I know that's a lot of information in a small amount of time, but we would entertain any questions. And we really appreciate just the opportunity to kind of share a little bit about the organization and let you know that we're working hard to make sure that we're being as responsive as possible to the needs of the county.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
I'm sure we will have conversations
You
in
bet.
the next few weeks during our budget session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, public works tractor purchase. Scott?
Yes, thank you. So in this current budget, was to replace the UTV vehicle that we utilize on sidewalks and trails in the winter time. One of the problems with that is the UTV is too wide for the 4-foot sidewalks. And we get uptown around the streetlight poles and everything, it's really cumbersome because of the width of it, trying to make the corners. The trail system, or the sidewalk going out to Old Mill Creek, we've got that walking bridge that we cannot take the gator across. Things like that. So we're trying to figure out a way to improve our operations and our clearing, because the same guys that are plowing the street are generally the ones after that's done, and they hop in and they go do, you know, the sidewalks first and then the trail system. We looked at a sidewalk machine that's just dedicated just for the clearing. Looks like a fertilizer applicator that you see the workers right on the back of. That subjects our workers out into the elements. There's really, you can put a heat houser on it, but there's no cab, nothing like that. So, and those are very expensive also. So we thought about, you know, what would really be the best fit. And I believe, you know, I had all the guys involved in this in the public works department. We really feel that having a small, like a lawn tractor, this is a bigger lawn tractor, but it's still small enough that it'll be workable on the sidewalks, the narrow sidewalks that we have in town. But having one of those, and then also purchasing a gator, this is what the quote I got, but another UTV vehicle for the operations in the summertime and things like that. But we will not equip this one with a plow. We won't trade in the old one. We'll keep it. We're really gonna get not much out of it. The floor is gone in it, you know, so we're patching things up like that. But as far as utilizing it in the winter time, we're not gonna do that much anymore.
So you're saying for the, like the walking trails and the bridges, are you using like
Hand shovels.
like hand shovels, snow blowers? So you're using a lot of time
Right.
on that, and potentially
Right. And so
backs.
this quote here is for a John Deere piece of equipment, and it is the larger of their lawn tractors, you know, for mowing and things like that. It's 4-wheel drive. It would have a cab that would be permanently attached. So it does have heat. We would equip it, which is in the quote, with a broom and then also a snow blower. And we'll have to figure out, you know, what we're gonna do as far as applying salt, you know, after we're done, but it might be a way to incorporate what we have right now onto the back of that. But again, it's narrow enough, we can get it down our 4-foot sidewalks. But yet it's large enough that we can use it you know, let's say, some of the sidewalks that we put in or the trails are 8 foot. We'll probably take a truck down those instead of, you know, we used to use the gator or a pickup. But we'll probably utilize a pickup for that. And then such as, the problem we always have, once we push that snow and it goes through a couple freeze and thaw cycles, we can't move it anymore. And so that was the reason for the snow blower, is be able to utilize a snow blower then to get it to move further.
Wouldn't be able to use with the tractor, using that for non-snow activities too, or is that something with a permanent cab on there, if the heat would get too hot in the summer?
It's a good question. They would have windows that open up. I did not plan on the purchase of a deck for this. But of course, we could put a mowing deck on it and utilize it in the summertime too.
I don't know, with, as you guys are doing more and more projects in houses, there's other adaptations that you can do to help.
There was something that was brought up about the water and the wastewater operator being able to utilize this for mowing. So that might be something we look at, you know, for his use in the summertime.
Whether you do that or not, it sounds like a good setup for the winter, as John said, it's not just time, but think backs. As well, it's setting these guys up to be efficient and safely efficient.
Did we have an idea of what funding source we were wanting to use for this purpose?
So Scott's kind of talked to Cammy and myself about this already. And to kind of go back last year with what council was discussing, also bring Andrew into it. We have capital reserve fund that council has kind of decided that Scott knows what he needs and we can kind of move things as needed. There's definitely plenty of money in that account for this. We still kind of collect things in different funds for different pieces of equipment, but there's a lot of things that Scott has no plans to buy anytime soon. We're still coming up with a good plan to be able to make these really large purchases down the road. So there's definitely money in there for this. And probably the attachments needed that provide fit into our other capital equipment, depending on what the budget looks like at the time, but there's money there.
Okay. They could save their backs and makes in-house operations more efficient.
And I know we have these split up into two separate ones. But what we had budgeted for the UTV replacement with the snow plow and things like that, we're only $10,000 more. So we'll be taking out of the equipment fund an extra $10,000 to cover both purchases fully.
Any other questions for Scott? Is there any action that anybody would like to take on the public works tractor purchase?
Do you want tractor and gator, or do you want us to do two different ones in this, or is it the same purchase?
Two, just because they're two
Two
separate.
separate things.
Yeah.
I move to approve the public works tractor purchase. I'll second.
Farland,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Kramer? Yes. Whitehead.
Yes.
Any further discussion, Scott, that you want to have on the gator purchase?
No,
All right.
I'll let you have questions.
Any questions before we move into action?
I will move to approve the public works gator purchase.
I'll second it. Farland,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Kramer? Yes. Whitehead.
Yes.
That moves us on to agenda item number 20, the ordinance amending various chapters of the Solon Code of Ordinance in anticipation of codification.
Yes, as it was in your packet, there was like 10 separate ordinances, so I didn't want to have 10 separate votes, so I made them all into one ordinance. So ordinance number 481 will be the recodification. It's a 9-page ordinance, but so instead of having 9-10 votes, you have one vote on all 10 at the same
And
time.
this will just be the first.
This will be the first reading, yeah.
It would be 481.
So, and you guys have seen all these changes over the last year or so.
In December, we
Yeah.
kind of gave you the preview, just knowing that, wanted to give you plenty of time to have a chance to look at them before we got to this point.
Any questions over any of that? Otherwise, you said that would be ordinance 481.
481.
All right, any action that anybody would like to take?
I'll move to approve ordinance 481.
I'll second.
All right, so the first reading, Farlier,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Whitehead.
Yes.
First reading of 41 passes. Next, we have the alley sanitary sewer improvements project placement number 2. Dave?
Yeah, this is release of retainage. We've accepted the project previously, so this is the last 5% that we owe them after acceptance of the project. Recommend approval.
I will move to approve the alley cemetery sewer improvements project based on number 2.
I'll second it.
All right, Farlinger,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Whitehead.
Yes.
Next, the fiscal 25 budget schedule.
Yeah, so last page in your packet is the updated budget schedule. As of noon, we were waiting for the valuations. They came in this afternoon, so we haven't had a chance really to do a lot with those. What this means is that next Wednesday at 5:30, we'll have our first budget work session here. And we are going to, we'll just start with some preliminary budget information, and then we'll just get right into the library, recreation, public works expenses. And that's really the nuts and bolts of what we need to do. We don't have a lot of flexibility on the revenues. So we're just gonna try to get right to the areas that we really need to look at and make decisions on. Then the 17th of January is our next regular meeting, so depending on what information we need, from next week, we'll move forward. And then the 24th, again, a special meeting, that's a standalone meeting. We, really depending on how the 10th and 17th go, makes the 24th and the 31st, we'll just wait and see. What things get a little different going forward because the budget process is longer and there's some extra hoops for cities to go through. And so what I've listed out is the dates. There's going to be similar to our max levy hearing. There are still 2 public hearing processes. They have added a mailer that the county has to do as well. So those are noted. And then with the, one of the things that I think is a major difference is that on April 3rd, we're going to be required to have 2 meetings. They can be consecutive, but there has to be a standalone meeting on that levy notice. And so we'll have to talk about it, and it has to be a 15-minute open meeting just for that agenda item. So we'll have to talk about how, if we want to just do that at 5 o'clock and then our regular meeting at 5:30, but we'll have that discussion as it gets a little closer. And then same in a little later into April, we'll have to have another special meeting to adopt the budget. But this is a timeline that Roman and I have put together. I don't see a lot of changes happening because we really don't have a lot of flexibility in this new process. This is the calendar we're going to share with the public, and just try to make sure we're including, sharing this new process as much as possible. And so next week we'll start here at 5:30 with our first meeting.
Thank you for all the legwork so far and the amounts of work that will be involved for you guys and all of that. Next, we'll move into other business. So council committee reports. We'll have appointments coming at the next meeting, trying to balance it out so we aren't overloading anybody on that. Is there any other committees?
The school committee is meeting on Monday. And that is going to just be just that same committee that's been meeting, so that I'll have a report on that after that. And then I will be reaching out to the personnel committee because we do have a wage range review that's due here in 2024. And so I've been gathering information from several other communities in the area and around the state. And so I'll be calling the committee together here hopefully in the next week or so and to review that information.
Susan? Okay.
Let's see, just a reminder, Christmas tree pickup is gonna be this Friday, garbage pickup, or I mean Saturday, garbage is also on Saturday. So,
House comments? Mayor comments, if anybody has feedback on the setup, let me know. We're trying to have it where we can all make eye contact, whatnot, so let me know if you have any feedback on that. Also, open house this Saturday for the new substation, 1 to 3. Okay. Otherwise, their motion to adjourn. Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?